Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I am not just a filmmaker because I am also going to premieres. That's what I did this week. Anyway, hi, how are you? For those who are new, my name is Lachlan. I am not just a filmmaker because I have other things to do in my life, like go to film premieres. That's exactly what filmmakers do, actually. It's pretty on brand. It's like the most anti way of starting a podcast going, hey guys, I'm not a doctor, but you need to get your blood pressure tested. You know, starting off with like a really wrong way round sort of title, I think. Pretty sure. Anyway, yeah, how are you guys going? Yeah, you had a good week? You've enjoyed the weather? You've seen the Oscar nominations? You've been shocked by what happens in Parliament still? Yeah, no, that's me too. I've enjoyed it. I've had a look. The last fortnight has actually been pretty interesting. Not so much the last fortnight. The past week has actually been pretty decent for me. Busy. I've been going to a few meetings. I had 2 premieres this week. Really exciting week, and I also snuck onto a Netflix set. By snuck, I mean I stalked it. And by Netflix set, I mean a TV show that was being shot for Netflix. I don't know why I started with that, because that is definitely like the textbook definition of what Netflix is. I really, really did like lead you on there for a second, and I'm sorry. I'm sorry for leading you on like that, thinking that a Netflix show meant something else. Yeah, no, I suppose we'll start from the beginning. I snuck onto a Netflix set, and it's not so much sneaking as it is stalking. And it's not so much a Netflix set as it was a place where they were filming a Netflix show. So I've been trying to find a job in the film industry lately since I've graduated. Honestly, also, if you have any film jobs available, please do hit me up, paul.lachlan@gmail.com. Hit me up, we'll talk. But I've been trying to like find what productions are happening. So I found that the Werner Productions has collaborating with with Netflix to create a show called Surviving Summer, which is about like this American student who is having like their summer vacation or something down in Australia, and they get into they fall into the surfing culture on the surf coast. So it's a show about that. It's from like the person who created Dance Academy, and it's just going to be on Netflix either later this year, or early next year, something like that. Maybe something around like the school summer holidays. And yeah, so that was very exciting. So I had emailed trying to get a job on the production, and no one got back to me because I am brand new and on nobody's radar except for the people I email, and they keep going, why does this guy keep emailing me? That's, like, why? What's the point of emailing? Anyway, I at a point I just decided I'm sort of tired of not hearing anything back. So I did the most old school thing possible. I went to a place to hand in a resume. And I didn't actually bring a resume. I just had like a sticky notepad and a pen, and I was going to write it down on that because I don't have business cards. I do have business cards now. They came later this week. But that sort of attitude, I guess. It was just like a really weird thing. But because I knew it was shooting on the surf coast, I'm like, cool. So it's like a 2-3 hour drive. I'll be able, make it a day trip. I'll leave in the morning, make it there by lunch, if I'm lucky, and then I'll come back and I'll be home by like 8 o'clock or something like that. So what I did is that I was starting to like research where it was shooting. So I was like, they mentioned Anglesea, so in like a Facebook post. So let's start off at Anglesea, right? So I drive to Anglesea. I start having a look around, go through the side streets. I go to the beach. I go to the the life saving club. That's nothing there. So I had to look at another article that I could find, and I found it like a small, like local, like Geelong Advertiser-esque newspaper. And I saw that it's just kind of like listed like 9 beaches. This is where they were filming on, they're going to be filming things at 9 of these beaches. So I looked at it and I went, right, so that's a list of 9 places to visit today. I've spent an hour and a bit in Anglesea, can't find anything. It's time to start driving further. So I listed them out and like, all right, I'll go from like the furthest place from home, because I'm in the eastern suburbs and Geelong's Anglesea is way out in the west. So I was going to drive from Anglesea. I would drive all the way down to the furthest place that there was Lorne. Basically, I spent the next 45-50 minutes driving from Anglesea to Lorne, which I had no idea Lorne was that far away. I'll be honest, I thought at that point you just sort of assume every like cool rural town that you know, like Lorne, Warrnambool, they're all like, you know, only 30 minutes away at most, you know, like you drive over to the next town to see what's going on. You don't like make a day trip out of it. It's like, guys, this is going to take like a long time for us to do. We're going to do it. So I drove down to Lorne, and that is a beautiful drive. I'm going to be honest. Totally felt like a die going on the roads next to the water. But aside from that, I thought it was a really, really lovely drive. And I get to Lorne and I go to the main beach, and there's nothing there. There's like kids learning how to surf, basically. I'm like, yeah, these are not actors. There are no cameras here. There is no lights. There's not even someone yelling cut in action. So I decide, you know, this isn't really the place. So I look at like the next place, and I go, and it's, I forget what the name of the place is. Something beach, Birkenhead. Actually, we're gonna look this up on my phone. We're gonna do a live investigation, and we're gonna find out what it is. What it is. It might have been Urquhart Bluff, which I feel like I'm saying that definitely wrong. But Urquhart Bluff. So the plan was to go there, which is back up in Anglesea. And I was driving on the way back, and I saw just like this, turned a corner in the distance, about like a 500 meters away. I saw like someone shooting on a camera pointed at the ocean. I saw a few surfers out there, saw a guy on a jet ski, and I saw a gazebo with some people standing under it and a truck with a porta potty in it. And I went, you know what? That looks like a film set. So it was sort of like a holy shit moment. And I pull over, and I pull over and I sit down. I pull over, I get out, I start walking. I'm like peering from the bushes on the beach, going like, I don't really want to interrupt the shot. I don't really want to see I just want to see what's going on. I want to see how it's working. I don't want to interrupt anything. I just want to watch how it's all functioning. How does a professional set work? I've never seen one, and despite seeing this one, it was a very, very minimalist set. We're talking like a couple trucks, a few extras, one main cast, and no one seemed to be like a production or a producer, from my understanding when talking to some of the people there. So I ended up they were filming a surfing scene, what I imagine would have just been surfing B-roll, along like this road. It wasn't even like one of the listed spots of where they were going to film. It was just pure coincidence. I was driving and I saw them filming here and I pulled over. So I was mostly just watching them for an hour, not from the bushes anymore. I've moved on. I've like full on established that I am a person there watching, and I'm like accidentally blocking the only stairwell between like all the crew and the beach. So they have to sort of walk past me weirdly if they want to go either down to surf or to communicate with people or like do battery changes and stuff. So it's a very awkward situation, I guess, because I didn't know what to do. I rocked up and I was like, well, I didn't think I'd get this far. I didn't think I'd actually find a Netflix set, let alone, I'm just going, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do here. Who do I introduce myself to? I don't want to interrupt people whilst they're working. What's the right thing to do? Like, what's the right thing to do in a situation like that? I can't really think of, like, I can imagine, like, the wrong thing to do would be to run into the middle of the shot going, hi. But I look at the situation going, what exactly what's a good way to introduce myself? Because I've been here far too long just watching. They know I'm watching. And I haven't introduced myself. I'm just a kid watching off the side. Sorry about that. Sarah just came in to hand me some footy cards. And, yeah, look, they're all right. They're not too bad. Straight again. All right. Yeah. What do you do in a situation like that? Like, you want to get into the industry. You end up coming across people working in that industry whilst they're working. So it's like no better experience either to like just work on, if that makes sense. It's just so strange having to be like it feels like so high stakes. In reality, I imagine it probably isn't as much, but it's just so high stakes in my head. So yeah, and then I walk over and I like briefly introduce myself, and we start talking, and it's kind of nice. And then yeah, I think they mistook me for being a local to Lorne. I didn't really have the heart to tell them that I'd driven 3 hours. Well, not some, yeah, 2 to 3 hours to be there by coincidence. Sorry, bless me. Yeah. I'm going to leave that in there. That seems really appropriate to and respectful to listeners and viewers who dedicate their time to come and watch me here. Definitely worth it. So yeah, that was really cool. I mean, I spoke to like the makeup artist and the costume person, and I had a brief interaction with someone who I imagine being close to like the unit director. Not 100% sure, but he was carrying a walkie-talkie around, and he was walking around like he was in charge. I feel like that's the sort of thing the director would do. So, yeah, that's like, I don't know, it's one of those things where you watch it and watching from afar, I go, well, I mean, this is pretty close to what I already do, in the sense that everyone is also still young, or looks young, and everyone's just having a good time vibing. But also because everyone was like, all that we needed to do is the actors surfing, like it was also a really laid back thing, right? Like the only thing they needed was the camera operator and the actors out on the water surfing, and maybe you give them a few instructions on what you want. The director gives them a few instructions on what they need. So it's like looking at the situation like that. Well, in hindsight, I really should have moved over sooner than waiting there for like 45 minutes to an hour and just watching them work. Like, it's just, I don't know. It was an interesting experience, to say the least. And it was by no means a bad one. It was just one of those things where you go, oh yeah, I guess it is sort of obtainable, But still, as of now, still no jobs in the industry. It's very it's weighing on me in a sense. Yeah, so that's how I accidentally snuck onto a Netflix set, and by accidentally I mean stalked, and by Netflix set I mean beach. Yeah, so, but I also, this week I had 2 film premieres. So I recently just edited an honours degree film called Does Blood Stain? There's a question mark at the end of the title. And I really liked that experience. It was showing at the Rivoli in Camberwell, the Village Rivoli cinemas. So it was really good being able to go there. Does Bloodstain won Best Film overall, which was an awesome honor. To work with Primrose Wallace, my director. I think that was a really good experience. She won an award. I forget what individual award she won it for, but that was awesome. Just seeing it on the screen, it's transformed so much since I had just finished with the picture lock of it. The color grade was so much nicer. The sound was very crisp. I think a few things might have been altered, but I'm not 100% sure because I haven't really looked at the film in mid-March. I haven't really looked at the film in a couple months. At that point, I was just kind of get it away from me. I've seen it for 6 weeks now. I don't need to see any more. But yeah, that was a really good experience. I loved watching everyone's films. I thought everyone's films were fantastic from the 2020 cohort. And we got to see the 2019 cohort, and that was really awesome as well. I really loved... I really like some of the other films as well. But personally, I think this year's cohort might have been better. I don't think anyone watches this podcast or listens to it that would be offended by that, but this year was better than last year. So that was a good experience. I'm really happy with an experience like that. It's always... That's one of the benefits, I suppose, of going to a film school. It's you by some margin, you are somewhat guaranteed to see your name up on the big screen. And I got to see mine after the film ended, and it ended in a sort of shocking, messed up way, and people spoke about the ending afterwards. It was something that I was happy with the results of it. Yeah. And then there was then I had a second premiere on Wednesday night at the Village Cinemas Knox for the First Chance Film Festival, and I got to see a few films that I had seen before. I saw one film that was at the Honours screening called Esports Ready, about a gamer coming out to her family as a gamer, or as and wanting her family to understand her embracing being a Twitch streamer, I guess, a successful Twitch streamer. And then there was another film called Horizontal, I think it was. That was about a family preparing to leave in a case of a bushfire emergency in January 2020. There was also a movie called Don Ron, which is a very funny movie. I think Alex Lowe's directed it, I'm pretty sure. It was super funny. I thought it was really great. I loved all the spoofs on all the fast foods, including Healthy Harold. And then there was a documentary that I got to see from my documentary class in uni called Follow the Water, directed by Liam English. I thought that was a really good, well-directed film as well. And I think it's a really good... And water corruption in New South Wales is a really important story as well. And I think it ought to be covered more, and I'd love to see a full-length documentary about it. Whether it's Liam English or Friendly Geordies. And then I got to rewatch a film that I had worked on back in 2019 in Port Arlington called Life is Fine, directed by Daniel O'Farley. I thought that was still really good. I thought it was really great, actually. Just being able to rewatch it again and being able to see my friends who worked on it as well as me being an extra. Back when I had long as hair. That's how far back I was just very recognizable. I had such a mop top. And then but yeah, the main event of the First Chance Film Festival was Grave, directed by Caleb Kite, produced by Amir Hushadik. That was because I edited that one as well. And it's 35 minutes long. It's the biggest project I've ever undertaken. It was just being able to see it on the big screen in Village was awesome. The sound design was fantastic. The color grade was awesome. I think everyone did a really fabulous job with the film. I'm super proud of it. I'm really happy with where it's gone and how it's stayed there. And being able to show family and friends what I worked on was awesome. I think I loved being able to work on that. And yeah, I think it was really great. But we got all, it's nice to get all dressed up, and we're going to the local movies. We're going to see our names on the big screen, and it's fun because like that Knox cinema, that's my favorite cinema to go to. It's the largest one. The seats are really comfy. It has some of the biggest screens that I really love. Just seeing my name on the big screen in my favorite cinema. It's like a weird, oh, that's me. Is that the dream? Like, I've thought about it before. Is success just seeing my name as a department head on a big screen? Is that the dream? Is that success? I think it's a part of it. I think it's a really interesting part of it. I think it's something you certainly can't discount. But I think it's going to go down as one of my favorite memories, I think, of filmmaking. It meant a weird amount of a lot. And I think, honestly, in all honesty, I don't know how possible this would have been without COVID. COVID bringing cinemas to their knees. So they're renting out cinemas to people to screen things in. I think it's proven to be a really integral factor to being able to see myself on the big screen at my favourite cinema. Both like in person and in name. I don't know if I don't know. It's like really cool. It's really cool. So yeah. What else? What else was there? Yeah. No. I think there was. Yeah. Then we went to the bar next to Village afterwards, and we had a few drinks there. That was fun. That was like both nights were pretty fun. We went to, I think on Sunday night at the honours thing, we went to a park and had a few drinks, which was really nice. Just hanging out with all the boys, all the guys and gals of film. I'm just very happy with the way this it's been a very exciting week with the premieres and all. So it's been a busy week in that sense, and all the film stuff. Not to mention, I don't know, I'll probably put a few photos up on my social media about what it was like being at Grave, what it was like for Does Blood Stain, and talking about that a little bit. But also, the Oscar nominations came out on Monday, and look, I haven't memorized them, and I did promise that last episode this would be the Oscar nomination episode. I'm hoping it's next episode. I'm not going to flat out promise it because I've probably broken the promise twice already, but I'm hoping it's next episode where I can go in with my friend Gaiden Sousa, who is a fabulous director and writer. We can go in with him and we can predict the Oscar nominations, talk about some of the snubs, talk about some of the surprises, and what was most expected. Also, Nomadland, you're going to win. Why would anyone bother? Frances McDormand stars in a movie nominated for Best Picture. Like, that really seems to be a theme for now, doesn't it? Pretty sure last time she was in a movie, she won an Oscar. Pretty sure 3 Billboards was the last film. Oh, what have we got here? Okay. Oh. Oh. I got an email response. That's pretty cool. Yeah, but I haven't really had a proper chance to have a look at to analyse and be in depth with the Oscar nominations, get down with all of it, and really absorb it into my brain. But yeah, I'm hoping like a few general reactions. Promising Young Woman. I want that to be the one for Best Picture. I'm really happy that it was nominated. I think Delroy Lindo was snubbed, and I don't know. It's good to see Maria Bakalova and Glenn Close get nominated. Just get an Oscar inside Glenn Close right now. I have to look at Hellbilly Elegy and go, yeah, Glenn Close will probably win that one, won't she? But yeah, I'll talk further about the Oscars in hopefully the next episode, maybe the episode after. I don't really know at the moment. I don't really know. But yeah. Oh, what's the next thing on the note? Oh, I remember having this weird thought during the last fortnight, where I think the Avicii song "Wake Me Up" just started coming on in my head. I'm like, oh yeah, and then it hit me. Maybe in a zombie situation, Avicii is the first one you wake up, because then you wake him up when it's all over. Or is he the last one? Is he the last person you resurrect in a zombie scenario? Because then it's actually truly over, right? Just some Avicii dead thoughts. Oh, I don't know why I'm saying this stuff. Look, last week was pretty dry. I'm not gonna lie. There was not much happened last week. It all happened this week, and you just have to take my word for that. Like the premieres was really cool. I had a few other meetings that was really good. But yeah, wake me up when it's all over. Why is the counting down? Oh, it's an SD card thing, isn't it? It's gonna stop recording for a second, isn't it? Yeah, now it is, isn't it? Why is it on 0? Okay, so the SD card was full. I feel like I'm sort of getting tired of having to... This is like the third reset this episode. But yeah, I really got to start filtering out some of those dumb Avicii thoughts. But yeah, I suppose I'll wrap up this podcast with this one thing. I suppose it's about what is worth. Yeah. It's very tough trying to decide what is worth. Is worth defined by... Actually, is this even worth talking about? Like, I know, ironic, right? But like, maybe maybe I do a bit of a self-help section in this podcast. I'm still trying to figure out the format. I haven't fully figured it out. I know I like talking about self-help. I know I like talking about my journey and how I'm going to increase productivity and whatnot. But I don't know if I have the knowledge to dispense it. You know, not yet. Maybe I got to start reading a bit more self-help. I don't know. I did finish. I think I spoke about this last time. I finished Atomic Habits, and I thought it was very good. And just those little 1% things, changing up the way I perceive everything. But now I'm gonna try and establish this week, like in my days off, in my time off, like a proper work schedule to build up like that discipline, to build up a discipline that allows me to work a bit longer, a bit harder, a bit more time managed than other people who may work like, I'm feeling tired, I might just lie down for 3 hours, and watch Netflix or Amazon Prime. I really want to start beginning to avoid the idea of I'm tired, I need to lie down, and I need to just watch TV like in the middle of a weekday. Like I'm catching myself feeling it, and there is sometimes where I find an idea in my head where I'm like, I can see a valid excuse for that because I work like 8-hour shifts in the afternoon to night on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, where it's like 4 to 12. So you spend the entire day leading up to 4 o'clock. And you can rationalize in your head, well, I'm still doing an 8-hour work day. I don't have to do anything today. and I still will have done 8 hours of work by the time I'm in bed at 1 a.m. So I think it's, but like, it's more or less comparative to Mondays and Thursdays and even Fridays. I think Fridays is something that's really underrated for me because I get up at 5:30. Not get up. I begin at 5:30. I finish at 10:30. That's 5 hours. But then it's like trying to find the motivation to do the next 3 hours. That is very, it's very difficult because I get home and then I go to the gym because that's just like the most time efficient thing to do. Because if I get home, I have a shower and then I change into clothes. If I were to do like a few hours of work, I would then also change out of those clothes, get into gym clothes, go to the gym, come back and have a second shower within like 4 hours ish, 4 to 5 hours. I'm assuming. Like I'd assume that I'd probably be going to the gym at like 3 o'clock when my body's a little bit more wrecked, rather than at 3 o'clock I can sit down now and record the podcast and just talk in a chair for like 40 minutes, and that's okay. I don't know. I have a weird feeling we're crossing 30 minutes instead. Instead of larger time things. But yes, I think we're being able to decide what is work, what is not work, what counts as an hour accumulating like a 40 to 60 hour work week, what does not. Just stuff like that. And how do I keep on top of that whilst also maintaining my really schlubby schedule of, well, I've got to watch a movie this week, I've got to watch a movie today. I've got one of my friends is watching a movie a day for the entire year. They're up to like day 80 something movies. And I think I've just I'm genuinely surprised with myself of how close I've gotten away with it. I'm on like movie 76. Like I am only like less than a week away from a day every year. No, a movie every day for this year. It is sort of stupid how much I've achieved. Not so much achieved. It's stupid how much I've watched. That's a fair assessment of what I've done. In essence, just a really dumb thing. I think it's a lot of like having to separate. Do I want to see this in cinemas? Do I want to just wait for this to pop up on Google Play and rent it? And I think the biggest turning point of that was the Roald Dahl's The Witches, the new one with Anne Hathaway. I think I stopped watching a Netflix movie to go to the movies to watch it. And then I came home to finish the Netflix movie. I have not been as thoroughly disappointed in a movie than I have in a very long time. It is a movie that made me reconsider the purpose of watching movies. In general. Not that they're good or they're bad, just that the purpose of watching movies. What's the point? This is so disappointing. Like, what is the point of watching a movie like this? It made me not watch The War with Grandpa for longer, which is ultimately disappointing because I went and saw that at the drive-in, and Christopher Walken, that's the one. He has not been more funnier than ever, because he is just doing a Christopher Walken impression. Christopher Walken is doing a Christopher Walken impression. So it's just amazing. Like, it's an amazing performance. I don't understand how it was not on best supporting actor in a comedy for the Golden Globes. Like, it was hilarious, his performance. And he made the movie. He made that movie for me. But yeah, that's having to build a schedule where I can do like proper 8-hour days, or like proper 8-hour work day, 8 to 10 to 12, which I don't understand how people do 60-hour weeks consistently. I'm like, I suppose I can do that. It's definitely not my first choice. I wouldn't be choosing to work 60-hour weeks unless it's something I really loved. Like people who manage stores do like more than 60 hours plus. I'm like, why? Why would you do that to yourself? Makes no sense to me. But yeah, that's why I just those little things. It's just the little things that make the biggest difference. So maybe being able to, if I'm able to avoid doing things like lying down in the middle of the day to watch Netflix on like a regular weekday, and opposed to doing that, I could maybe write a sketch or record a brief movie review. If I could do those things that take like pretty low, you don't need much energy, there's not a whole lot of thought going on, you just sort of click in, do the work, click out, and then you post it, or you sit on it and you wait to see where it goes. Just stuff like that. Just stuff like that to see where it all ends up. But yeah, I suppose that's my goal for the next fortnight, to set up not so much like a fixed, this is the starting time, this is the ending time, but just building up the tolerance where I can do the full-time work and be able to switch in, switch out of like rest mode, work mode, because it's really, I feel that's another thing. It's a problem when you work right next to where you sleep, is that if you're consistently breaking that, snapping back in and out, like being able to create an inconsistent work schedule, it starts to make things difficult, because if you're like, oh, well, I'll take a midday nap, right? But then when you wake up, you're facing your work. I'll wake up and I'll face my desk, and I'll be like, oh, cool, work. It's, yeah, doing stuff like that is pretty, I feel like that's detrimental to my productivity overall if I'm snipping and snapping back in and out. And obviously, like people's phones, that's another big reason for it, because you just get drawn into looking at different reactions and things you got tagged in on Facebook and just general stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't really have much else to add aside from that. I'm just put a schedule, make it more firm, make it like cohesive and complete, and just really avoid using my bed for those times that I'm like, it's all a work mode and rest mode, and therefore like different, and they don't interchange or intermold, I guess. Just sorry, trying to improve that. Anyway, I think we'll wrap it up there. We'll leave it at that. Thank you very much for watching and or listening. The podcast is also, it's Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Podbean, Amazon Music, I think, maybe. Yeah, like and subscribe. Give me a 5-star rating if you could please. Did use the magic word. That would be very polite to respond with that such. And yeah, I hope that the next fortnight goes well for you. And I don't really have anything else to say other than I'm so excited to see Godzilla vs. Kong next week. Alright, I'll leave you guys to it. Have a good one, and I'll catch you guys in a fortnight, hopefully to talk about the Oscars. Okay.